and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today I have a guest who's going to tell us a little bit about Bluebird Gap Farm. This is Jim Seward. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
And I'm going to have you tell us your title.
I'm the farm supervisor at Bluebird Gap Farm.
And that immediately tells you that Bluebird Gap is a little different than the other cities' parks, because typically the person there would be called a ranger, not a farm supervisor. You really think of Bluebird Gap as a farm, right?
It's we call it a farm park zoo. So we have a lot of different animals. We have about every farm animal you can think of, from cows and pigs to chickens, ducks, geese, goats. We even have a few exotic animals, which is the reason why we kind of call it a zoo too. Right now we have emus, we have African sulcata tortoises, so we're covering quite a range of different continents. We have peafowl, which are from Asia and India.
Oh, that's always a really fun thing to see for kids, especially when the peacock spreads his tail and you get to see that wonderful display.
That happens.
Okay, kids, I like it too, I have to tell you the truth.
They molt out those long train feathers, and they're actually, it's not a tail, it's actually mounted on their back, where that is the source of where those feathers are. And they molt out that whole train in the late fall, and right now they don't have any trains, but they almost immediately start growing new feathers for their train.
I didn't realize that. Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so one of the reasons you're here today is to talk about a program, an adopted animal program. Tell us a little bit about that. Okay,
our farm adoption program, which is a name we came up with a couple of years ago. The farm adoption program was restarted actually several years ago. A number like 10 to 15 years ago, it was started and was called the Bluebird Guardian program.
That's what I've heard of, right?
Right, and with the adoption of an animal, you got a T-shirt and adoption papers, etc. And former Mayor Eason was the very first person to adopt an animal under that program. Then the program kind of went by the wayside, and the Friends of the Farm, which is the support group for Bluebird Gap Farm, a volunteer group, it kind of went into hiatus, and then we restarted it about 5 years ago. And the farm adoption program was a brainchild to bring back the adoption program that was formerly called Bluebird Guardian, and now it's farm adoption.
And the reason for this is, it is a city park, and the city does most of the sort of day-to-day funding, but obviously tax revenues have been going down, the city has been strapped, and so your auxiliary arm, the Friends, helps to raise money for some of the extras
That's correct.
That aren't provided for with city funding.
We sell animal feed in bags for $1. And we also have
animal feed for me to take home for the ducks, or animal feed that I can give the animals while I'm there?
You can give the animals while you're there, yes. And just about all of the animals can eat that food. There's some that won't eat it. We have 2 great horned owls, and they're meat eaters, so they're not going to eat it.
And you really wouldn't want,
And others don't prefer it. Sometimes they will eat it, and sometimes they won't, like the rabbits and cows, etc. But for the most part, the ducks, geese, chickens, the deer and the goats gobble it up. So,
now, to be honest, I haven't been out there in a while. I used to go at least once a week when my kids were little. Gosh, that's back before, you know, the horse with one eye, before he died, Charlie. I mean, he was a favorite of
Charlie has
a whole
his own
generation of 2 generations, probably. He was there forever.
The garden, when you walk in the front gate, is actually called Charlie's Garden.
Oh, is it really?
It was named after him. Charlie was there from 1989 to 2002. And he was a blind leopard Appaloosa horse.
Oh, he was just beautiful.
And he was one of the favorite animals. We always have like an icon animal at the farm at any one time. And Charlie was the icon animal for a while. We used to have wolves at the farm, and one of the wolves was an icon animal. Everybody came to see it. Now, I would say the icon animal is Barry the white-tailed deer. He is the last deer that we have there.
Really? There were several, I guess, back when
we've had quite a few deer there. The problem right now is with regulations from the state prohibiting us from obtaining more deer because of chronic wasting disease,
Oh, yeah.
which is a bad disease that will wipe out entire herds of deer. They don't want deer being moved from one facility to another right now, white-tailed deer.
That. Okay.
However, we're possibly, once Barry is a good 13, 14 years old now, lifespan of a buck in captivity is 12 to 15.
Oh, wow.
So he's going to be with us a little while longer, and he's showing no signs.
Go visit Barry.
Yes, Barry is one of the favorite animals at the farm right now, but we're looking at, in the future at some point, maybe getting fallow deer, and they look just like our deer, except they have spots even as adults, like a fawn.
Okay.
And they're not regulated under that chronic wasting disease that I'm aware of. So,
all right,
yeah.
so we have Barry as sort of your icon animal now. What else do we have at the farm?
We have turkeys right as you walk in the front gate. We have guinea fowl and a new exhibit that we just redid where our Canada goose used to be. We have a Canada goose that's 15 to 20 years old, and she eats out of your hand too. But we let her go out amongst the other geese, and she actually tamed down when we did that. We gave her more space, and now she'll eat out of your hand. But the place where she used to be is just past the turkeys as you walk in the gate. And we have 5 guinea fowl in there and a ringneck pheasant male that's in there. And we're seeking some females for him. And we're also, Friends of the Farm actually is paying for me to get 3 golden pheasants, which they're not a wild bird in Virginia, but they're kind of a fancy breed. And they're paying for that. And by the way, the 2 calves that we just got were paid for also by the Friends of the Farm.
So you have 2 calves and
we have a number of larger cows too.
But the 2 new ones are, you said Herefords?
Yes, they're a Hereford Charolais cross, but they're showing mostly Hereford.
And what does that mean? What do they look like?
They are almost all red with a white face. A lot of farmers call them white face.
That's going to be adorable.
Yeah,
okay.
then they have pink noses. They're very cute, and they're on our Facebook website right now too. So you can see them, a picture of them before you come out.
That sounds wonderful. So you really talk about how the farm way of life is, because we're in a pretty urban city. Most of us don't have chickens in our backyard or raise our own food. Show people how these animals relate to the food chain and how they live and things like that.
We do have a lot of interpretive signage up for just about everything we've got. The pheasants are brand new, so I don't have a sign up for those yet, but we do try to interact and talk with the public. They've got any questions that we can answer, we answer them for them.
And there's staff out there, and there's often volunteers out there too.
Yes, there are.
Well.
We do have a pretty good volunteer program. We have probably 5 to 10 very regular volunteers, and then probably 5 or 10 more that are not as regular as the others.
So in this farm adoption program, did I say it right? Is that what it's called? What does the farm get, and what do I as a donor get?
If you adopt an animal, $25 and over, get your name on a plaque. You also get adoption papers for the animal that you want to adopt. And
so I get to pick, right?
You get to pick which animal you want.
If it's a nice, soft, furry mammal, or if it's something a little less friendly.
Like rabbits. We've got rabbits there also. But yes, you get to adopt the animal. You do not get to take it home. And adopting an animal does not confer any ownership rights. It stays the property and residence at Bluebird Gap Farm. You also get a brief history of that animal and that type of animal and a picture of the animal. And we mail all that to you, but your name on the plaque that stays at the farm adoption plaque.
That's nice. And then this money goes to,
it pays
you've got 2 projects right now that you're working on.
Right. The chicken cage is getting expanded, and the pig pen is getting a wallow for a couple of the pigs to...
Happy as a pig in mud. That's right. They need a little space, not on the concrete.
The Friends of the Farm has paid for a lot of different things at the farm. it would be hard for me to, the shelter in the pheasant cage and the turkey cage was paid for by the Friends.
So really when you adopt an animal, you are helping to contribute to making that animal's life in captivity a little better. A little better surroundings, more space or shade.
More
or
exhibits.
Things that are more suited toward that
animal.
animal.
And it's, like I said, more in more exhibits, more animals. The number of animals did kind of dwindle a little bit, but we're over 150 animals right now.
Holy cow, I did not realize that. Jim, there's something making noises on the floor here.
Yes, I brought a little friend.
You want to tell me what this is?
This is a rooster. His name is Roger, and he is kind of a mutt. He's not a purebred, but he does have Old English in him. And I'll go ahead and pop him out of the cage here if I can get it open. And he's fairly tame. And now, you got to get on my hand. Never know what you're going to get.
Look at that.
He's got white and gray and maroon color. Poor little Roger is blind in one eye.
Good candidate for the farm then. He's a little protected. He's small for a rooster, isn't he?
He's a bantam. And the bantam chickens are, this is full size for them. We do even have some smaller hens that are the Old English breed that probably an inch or two shorter than him.
I have to tell you, I don't know if chickens like me, especially roosters, but the chickens either, because it was at one point my chore to gather eggs, and you know, they don't like that when you come and take their eggs.
A lot of times they don't.
Make them, they're happy when you come feed them, but they're not so happy when you come take the eggs.
That's correct. We do get a lot of eggs at the farm. If you're interested in eggs, we usually have eggs there from the hens. Roosters, of course, don't lay eggs, but we do save them. We can't sell them because they're not USDA inspected and graded and all that. And we're a city operation. If we were private, we could sell them. But yeah, and we get lots of brown eggs. And the one hen that I told you about was a gray Wyandotte, and she lays very dark brown eggs. I'd never seen as dark brown an egg.
You know, that's so interesting because I think today's kids, I mean, I didn't have to gather the eggs until I was in high school and we had moved to a very rural place, but kids don't understand where their food comes from. They have no concept a lot of times.
That's one of our things that we try to show is a lot of kids, the only thing they might see is a cat, dog, and a squirrel in their yard or something, or pigeons, and we really want to show them all the different animals that farms raise for, you know, farm use and consumption and everything. So
yeah, you have to be honest about, you know, why they're there. They're not just pets.
Right.
Although you're probably not going to eat Roger at any point.
Everybody at the farm is a permanent resident. It's some of them we call it's like a retirement home for the animals. So.
And some of them are, you know, injured but mostly you acquire animals.
Right. We can't display any Virginia wildlife that has visible injuries, but we do have, for instance,
there's so many regulations.
Yes, we're permitted by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Virginia Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So yeah, we have a lot of regulations that we have to follow, and reports to file and permits to renew every year, things like that.
So we are right now looking for people to adopt Roger.
Okay, yes.
And your deer, I already forgot the
Barry.
Barry. And some of the cows and lots of other animals out there to help make their quarters better and the experience better for people who come to visit the farm.
Just about every farm animal you can think of that we have there.
And you are open
We are open Wednesday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're always closed on Monday and Tuesday and major holidays. And admission,
and it is free. I mean, how many zoos or farm, you know, can you go and have this experience for free?
And a lot of people, one of the big questions that we have, a frequent question is, how are you all funded? And we are a city park with animals. That's why I tell them we're a Hampton City Park with animals.
Wonderful and different. And, you know, come spring when those animals start having babies, we're going to come out and visit you and do a show there because you can't really bring anything much bigger than a rooster into the studio.
Right.
So we will come to you later.
We'll be having goats, baby goats.
They're so
we'll be
cute.
having lambs. As soon as possibly the end of March or beginning of April. I guess that's it for now, but we'll probably have chicks and ducklings and things like that, but that might be a little early for them.
Oh, so. Well, Jim, thank you so much for coming by, and thank you for bringing Roger and showing people, you know, what wildlife looks like, or not wildlife, really domesticated, most of what you have. And we'll look forward to coming and visit you again later.
That'll be great. We'll look forward to seeing you.
And thank you for watching this episode of Round Robin, and think about the farm adoption program to help take care of these animals and keep them on display for kids and adults to go see. Thank you.